Let me ask you something. Have you ever had one of those strange moments when you suddenly stop and realize that your mind feels full, but you cannot even explain exactly why? Maybe nothing terrible happened today. Maybe life looks normal from the outside. And yet, inside your head, everything feels loud. Too many thoughts, too many worries, too many unfinished emotions quietly asking for attention. One moment you are thinking about your future. The next moment you are replaying something embarrassing from the past. Then suddenly you start worrying about money, relationships, your goals, your habits, your health. And before you even notice it, your mind feels like a room filled with too many things and no space to breathe. And maybe the hardest part is this. You want peace, but your thoughts never seem to rest long enough for peace to arrive. If this feels familiar, I want you to stay with me, because today we are going to talk about how to organize your mind in a way that feels human, realistic, and emotionally calming. And by the end of this episode, you will not only practice English and grow your listening confidence, but maybe, just maybe, you will also begin to understand why your inner world has been feeling so heavy lately. And if this lesson gave you something useful, I'd love it if you tapped like and subscribe to the channel. It helps you stay connected, and it also helps this little learning community grow. Every click really does make a difference. With love, let's dive in. What is stealing your mental peace? Sometimes we think stress comes from having too many problems, but strangely, many times the real problem is not life itself, it is mental clutter. The mind becomes crowded slowly, almost invisibly, until one day you suddenly realize that even small things feel emotionally exhausting. Maybe you keep thinking about conversations that already ended. Maybe you worry about situations that have not happened yet. Maybe you feel pressure to become better faster, heal quicker, succeed sooner, or somehow have everything figured out by now. And quietly, without asking for permission, all of those thoughts begin taking up space inside you. It becomes harder to relax, harder to focus, harder to feel calm. Even when you are technically resting, your brain keeps working in the background, like a machine that forgot how to stop. And here is something important to understand. A messy mind can make a simple life feel difficult. Because when your thoughts are running in 10 different directions, even peace begins to feel confusing. This is why learning how to organize your mind matters so much. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because your inner world finally starts feeling lighter. Why do you keep overthinking everything? Let us be honest for a moment. Overthinking can feel impossible to escape. You tell yourself to stop thinking so much, but somehow your mind keeps returning to the same worries again and again. You replay conversations and wonder if you said the wrong thing. You imagine future situations and mentally prepare for problems that may never even happen. You think deeply about decisions, emotions, mistakes, and possibilities until your brain feels emotionally tired. And strangely, the more you think, the less clear everything starts to feel. But here is something many people misunderstand about overthinking. Most of the time, it is not really about finding answers. It is about trying to feel safe. Your brain keeps searching for certainty because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. So it repeats thoughts, questions, and fears, hoping clarity will suddenly appear. But often, endless thinking only creates more noise. And maybe this is something your heart needs to hear today. Not every thought deserves your energy. Not every fear deserves your attention. Sometimes peace begins when you stop treating every passing thought like an emergency that must be solved immediately. What are you carrying inside? Sometimes the reason your mind feels so heavy has nothing to do with today. Sometimes you are carrying emotional weight that has quietly followed you for months, maybe even years. Pressure to succeed, fear of failing, guilt about mistakes you still think about, worries about time passing too quickly, expectations from family, work, relationships, or even yourself. And slowly, without noticing it, your inner world becomes crowded. One part of you wants peace, but another part keeps reminding you of everything that still feels unfinished. One part of you wants rest, but another part says you should be doing more, becoming more, fixing more. And this emotional conflict creates noise inside the mind. So let me ask you something important. What are you mentally carrying right now that you never stop to put down? Because many people try to organize their lives while completely ignoring the emotional mess happening inside them. But the truth is, you cannot organize your mind if you never pause long enough to understand what has been quietly exhausting you all this time. Sometimes healing starts with honesty. Why does silence feel uncomfortable? Have you noticed something strange about modern life? Even when people finally have a quiet moment, they immediately reach for distraction. A phone, a video, music, scrolling, notifications, endless information filling every empty space. And maybe we do this because silence feels uncomfortable. Because silence forces us to meet our own thoughts. It forces us to sit with emotions we have been avoiding, worries we keep pushing away, questions we do not know how to answer. But here's the strange truth. The same silence many people avoid may actually be the place where mental peace begins. Because when your mind is constantly full of noise, it becomes difficult to hear yourself clearly, difficult to understand what you actually feel, difficult to know what truly matters. Organizing your mind does not always mean finding more advice, more productivity, or more motivation. Sometimes, it simply means creating space. Space to think, space to breathe, space to feel. And maybe, for the first time in a very long time, space to finally hear yourself again. What if your mind is simply overloaded? Sometimes we are very hard on ourselves without realizing it. We call ourselves lazy, distracted, emotional, or unmotivated, when in reality, we may simply be mentally overloaded. Think about how much your brain handles every single day. Responsibilities, emotions, decisions, worries, social pressure, information, expectations, comparisons, future planning. It never really stops. And strangely, many people expect themselves to stay calm and emotionally balanced while carrying all of that weight at once. But the truth is, an overloaded mind struggles to feel peaceful. It struggles to focus. It struggles to stay emotionally present. This is why organizing your mind is not weakness or laziness. It is emotional care. It is learning how to stop mentally carrying everything at the same time. Because here is something important to remember. You are not supposed to solve your whole life in one day. You are not supposed to have every answer immediately. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is gently ask yourself, what actually deserves my attention right now? And what am I mentally carrying that can wait? Why do small problems feel so big? Have you ever noticed how even tiny problems can suddenly feel emotionally overwhelming? A message gets ignored, a plan changes, something stressful happens at work, and somehow your whole mood changes. You feel frustrated, anxious, or mentally exhausted much faster than expected. But often, the problem is not only the problem itself. The problem is the emotional weight already sitting inside your mind before that moment even happened. Imagine carrying 10 heavy bags every day. Even one extra bag would suddenly feel impossible to hold. The mind works in a similar way. When your thoughts are already crowded, even small stress feels huge. This is why emotional organization matters so much. Peace does not come from eliminating every problem in life, because that is impossible. Peace often comes from reducing unnecessary mental weight, letting go of worries that do not help, creating emotional space, learning when to pause. Because when your inner world feels calmer, life often feels less heavy than it did before, even when problems still exist. Are you thinking or just spiraling? Sometimes we believe we are being thoughtful, careful, or responsible, But if we are honest, what we are really doing is spiraling. One thought becomes 10 thoughts. One worry becomes 100 possible problems. You ask yourself, what if, so many times that eventually your mind becomes trapped inside fear. What if things go wrong? What if people judge me? What if I fail? What if I make the wrong choice? And slowly, without noticing it, anxiety begins controlling your attention. But here is something powerful to understand. Thinking and spiraling are not the same thing. Healthy thinking creates clarity. Spiraling creates confusion. Healthy thinking helps you move forward. Spiraling keeps you mentally stuck in the same place. And maybe this question matters more than we realize. Are your thoughts helping you solve problems, or are they only making you more afraid? Because sometimes, organizing the mind begins with recognizing something simple but life-changing. Not every thought deserves to be followed. Some thoughts are only passing noise. What deserves space in your mind? Here is a difficult question many people avoid asking themselves. What actually deserves space inside your mind? Because the truth is, your attention is valuable. Your emotional energy is valuable. And yet, so many people spend their days mentally exhausted by things they cannot control. Other people's opinions, old mistakes, imaginary situations, fear about tomorrow, pressure to be perfect, constant comparison, and slowly, their minds become emotionally crowded with things that never truly deserved so much space to begin with. Imagine your mind like a room. If every unnecessary thing stays there forever, eventually there is no room left for peace, creativity, confidence, or emotional calm. This is why mentally organized people often seem calmer, not because life is easier for them, but because they become more careful about what they allow to live inside their thoughts. And maybe today is a good moment to ask yourself honestly, what thoughts have been taking too much space in my life lately? And are they helping me grow or only making me feel heavier? Why do you feel emotionally tired? Sometimes emotional exhaustion feels confusing because nothing dramatic happened. No huge crisis, no major disaster, and yet, you still feel tired inside. You feel emotionally drained, mentally distracted, strangely disconnected from yourself. And maybe this happens because emotional exhaustion does not always come from one painful moment. Sometimes it comes from carrying too much for too long. Too many worries, too many expectations, too much pressure to stay strong all the time. Too many emotions quietly ignored because life felt too busy to deal with them. And eventually, the mind says something important. I need rest. Not only physical rest, emotional rest too. Rest from overthinking, rest from pressure, rest from trying to control everything. Because the truth is, a tired mind struggles to feel hopeful. A tired mind struggles to feel present. This is why organizing your mind matters so deeply. It is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming lighter, calmer, more emotionally steady, one small step at a time. What happens when your mind finally slows down? Something beautiful begins to happen when the mind finally becomes quieter. You start noticing yourself again. You notice how exhausted you actually felt. You notice emotions you were too busy to understand. You notice that maybe, for a long time, you were surviving more than truly living. And strangely, slowing down does not make life worse like many people fear. It often makes life feel clearer, because when mental noise becomes smaller, important things suddenly become easier to hear. Your real priorities become clearer. Your emotions make more sense. Even decisions feel less overwhelming because your brain is no longer trying to think about everything at once. But here is something important to understand. Peace does not usually arrive in one dramatic moment. It grows slowly, quietly, one small habit at a time, one moment of awareness at a time, one decision to stop feeding unnecessary stress at a time. And maybe the real goal is not to have a perfectly quiet mind forever. Maybe the goal is simply learning how to return to yourself when life becomes mentally loud again. Why do you struggle to feel present? Have you ever noticed how difficult it can feel to simply enjoy the moment? Maybe something good is happening, but part of your mind is already worrying about tomorrow. Maybe you are resting, but guilt keeps whispering that you should be doing something more productive. Maybe you are talking to someone, but half your attention is trapped inside thoughts about something completely different. And little by little, life begins passing by while your mind is somewhere else. This is one hidden cost of mental chaos. It steals presence. It steals the ability to fully experience simple moments. But being present does not mean ignoring problems or pretending life is easy. It simply means learning to gently bring your attention back to where you are, back to this moment, back to what matters now. Because the truth is, many worries exist only in imagined futures. Many regrets live only in remembered pasts. But peace? Peace usually lives in the present moment, quietly waiting for us to return. What if you stopped fighting yourself? Sometimes the loudest noise inside the mind is not stress, fear, or overthinking. Sometimes it is the way we speak to ourselves. We criticize ourselves for being tired. We judge ourselves for moving slowly. We compare ourselves to people who seem more successful, more confident, more disciplined. And without noticing it, life begins to feel like a fight against ourselves. One part of us wants rest, while another part says we are lazy. One part feels hurt, while another part says we should just be stronger. And this inner conflict becomes emotionally exhausting. But what if organizing your mind also means changing the way you treat yourself? What if peace begins when you stop acting like your own enemy? Because here is something deeply important. Growth becomes much easier when kindness enters the process. You do not have to pressure yourself into healing. You do not have to punish yourself into becoming better. Sometimes change happens faster when compassion finally becomes louder than criticism. What truly deserves your energy? As life becomes busier, one question quietly becomes more important than almost anything else. Where is your energy going? Because the truth is, energy is limited. Attention is limited. Mental space is limited. And yet many people spend years emotionally exhausted by things they cannot control. Worrying about what others think, trying to please everyone, carrying guilt that no longer helps, replaying painful memories that cannot be changed, and slowly, without meaning to, they give their energy to things that only make them feel heavier. But organizing your mind often means becoming more protective of your inner space. It means asking yourself difficult but honest questions. Does this thought help me? Does this worry deserve my peace? Is this fear teaching me something useful, or simply making me suffer twice? Because maybe protecting your peace is not selfish, like some people believe. Maybe it is necessary. Maybe peace grows when you finally stop giving your emotional energy to everything at once. What if peace starts today? Maybe after listening to this episode, nothing dramatic changes overnight. Maybe your worries do not disappear immediately. Maybe life still feels complicated sometimes, but perhaps something small begins changing inside you. Awareness. Maybe now you notice when your thoughts become too crowded. Maybe now you recognize when overthinking quietly takes control. Maybe now you understand that feeling mentally tired does not mean you are weak. It may simply mean your mind has been carrying too much for too long. And if there is one thing I hope you remember from today, it is this. Peace is not something you suddenly find one lucky day. Peace is something you slowly build, through awareness, through honesty, through learning what deserves your attention and what no longer deserves space in your mind. So tonight, or whenever you are listening to this, maybe take a deep breath and ask yourself something gentle but important. What can I stop mentally carrying today? Because sometimes, the first step toward a calmer life begins with simply deciding, I do not want to live in mental chaos anymore. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss the next lesson. Your support means so much. It keeps this space alive and growing. With love, thank you for being here, and I can't wait to continue this journey with you.